with you there, and I'm glad you brought that up. I think Luke touched on it a little bit earlier as well in terms of, consumerism as a thing itself. As a thing itself, it's not good or bad. Like, consumerism is simply buying things. Like, you need to buy things to survive. Now, I think what we were, or at least what I think we were, like, referring to is when you buy things for the sake of looking cool or for the sake of just being able to say you own that. And I think that's where, like, if you buy something, like, you think you need, or, like, in your sense, like, Ray-Bans, you wear glasses. Like, I don't know if, like, niggas know, but, like, my buddy Arya wears glasses. Like,
I've been wearing glasses since the first grade, if anybody didn't know.
Yeah,
my first pair were Hakeem Optical. Shout out.
So like, I can understand you, like, sticking with Ray-Bans and, like, little things like those are glasses. Like, you wear them. Like, you need them to see. Like, you need good quality, okay? And, like, the other thing is more expensive things are usually of better quality. Most times, not all the time. So I think consumerism would be, like, buying things that are more expensive even though, like, they're not better quality. Or just spending money because you want other people to, like, know that you have money as opposed to because you actually want that.
I think when you cross over into that and you're talking about, like, okay, consumerism is just buying it. Yeah. All right. Buying it for the sake of it being cool and for the sake of needing it to advance your status. That is then materialism. And that's what we're talking about right now. That's what we're talking about right now. It's like, what is materialism? I think it's placing a lot of importance on material items to advance either your social status or your happiness or your perception of yourself. Yeah. Fuck what anybody else thinks. This is your perception of yourself, and you want to advance that. Do you really need material things to do that? I mean, listen, man. If you do, that's you. That's you. I don't judge people. None of us do here, really.
I want to almost say one other thing, and I feel like I started this off by saying to close. I want to say this.
So keep going.
And this is going to come to
keep going.
But I wanted to say this.
Just poured me a new drink.
I would just want to say you people from China, you can call me out if I'm not being honest, but materialism, I would say from an Asian standpoint, it's not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. To me and my family, materialism means you've worked hard and now you can afford better things. I've always been taught from my dad, FYI, my family, we grew up on like my dad grew up on a farm. My mom also grew up on a farm. Like,
Did you grow up on a farm?
I did not, but it was because my mom and my dad hustled very hard. And some might call it materialistic. Maybe my dad's neighbors, when my dad owned a farm, would call him very materialistic, that he lives in Canada, he owns a house, he owns multiple cars. They might call that very materialistic. To my family, they just say that's hard work and we advanced up. And I would say some members of my family are better off than my parents and better off financially. And my parents view them as just those people were smarter about the way they approach things. They worked very hard. And it's because of the reasons they can drive a Porsche and maybe we have to drive a Toyota. And
shout out to Toyota.
I just want to say this. I would say this idea of materialism to some ethnic individuals would come off really absurd, because I would say in North America, we almost have this almost advantage of challenging materialism, of being like, oh, are these people really living a happy life? Because in North America, without having quote unquote materialism, you get access to things like healthcare. You get access to things like transportation. In China, without materialism, you don't have healthcare. You don't have transportation. It's the access to everything in life, which is why I feel like one of the reasons we're even talking about materialism is because we're in North America.
We're privileged enough that materialism is a concept.
That's all I want to say, because I think if we move this podcast back to China, back to Nigeria, back to Iran, we want to have this discussion, because it's all about the work.
We can't.
Okay, perhaps.
Let's preface that, guys.
Perhaps
we can't do this in those countries.
We can't have this discussion there, but in some other ways, the ideology would be, well, you're just of a lower social status, and that's why you have access to those things. If you worked harder and advanced your social status, you would have access to other things. Obviously, there's this idea of discrimination and everything to discuss, but the premise is work hard, achieve a higher social status, that comes with things. It's not this idea that you have more money, you can buy more things, that's bad.
I have a question. Do I have to look nicer than you for you to know I'm better than you?
Do you as a person have to wear nicer things?
For you to know I'm better than you?
In many, I would say yes, from a visual perspective.
But, to be honest, I'll let you guys discuss that. I just wanted to preface that this whole conversation I think is bleeding into different cultures, and how in different cultures we have different values. You know, it's like most of us here have been lucky enough to like study different cultures, you know, through the classes we've taken, and we've
from other countries.
being from other countries, you know, close to each other, we've discussed, you know, things we've learned, and we've discussed experiences. So, you know, we have a really good advantage position to look at this and be like, okay, well, different cultures are different, you know, inherently, intrinsically, and you know, there's different values on different things. And the fact that, you know, materialism here is a concept up for debate, when materialism in other places is just a natural way of advancing your lifestyle and showing that, you know, you can thrive from even the darkest of situations. None of this to say that materialism is destructive inherently.
No.
In destructiveness comes from kind of how you interact with your environment, I think, at least. And you can take anything in this world and make it destructive, anything at all.
Facts.
So really, I just wanted to preface that, including God. Yes.
Oh,
I don't know.
definitely. Wait,
It's
listen,
like-
this
it's
will
like-
be a future podcast
Most
topic,
importantly, you can do that with God.
So yeah, like no limits to that. No, but I do think that's very important. And like, I don't know, you guys are privileged and we are privileged.
We
For the
all,
fact-
everyone that's
Oh, for
here in this
sure.
room, everyone
For sure.
that's around us is most likely privileged.
Yeah,